Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome back to Wildcast Studios for another episode of the Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, I'm your host, Adam Lund, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hoster, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. Buddy, what a great fall weekend. We had some hockey. NFL was back, so I sat on my ass watching football all day yesterday, unless I was at the preseason game. It's just nice to actually have a fall.
It's nice to be watching meaningful Blue Jays games as well.
That too, for Blue Jays fans out there. I am not one, but yes.
If nobody watched the doubleheader on Saturday, I don't know what they did. I mean, they just somehow they just pulled a rabbit out of their ass or whatever you want to call it, but just too ridiculous, just almost an impossible comeback. In the first game Saturday, and the second game was just a good old whip ass kicking, and then Sunday was an ass kicking as well, like 22-5. I think they beat
Jamie
Baltimore.
Tozer wasn't kidding when he said he fixed
got
the offense
going. He really did.
So the Blue Jays, it was a good tweet from TSN yesterday. The Blue Jays outscored 14 NFL teams in that opening window. They had, what did you say, 22?
They had 22.
22. Yeah. The Jaguars had 21, Chargers 20, Panthers 19, Dolphins 17, Patriots 16, Colts 16, Bills 16, Washington 16, the Bears and the Jets with 14, the Titans with 13.
Yeah.
And there's one other one I think that
they had two.
The Giants with 13, the Packers with 6 or 3, and the Falcons with 6. So yeah, but
they're it's tough. They're in tough now. They got a 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are the first in the American League East.
Yep.
Just right now it's a point of winning as many games as possible, and you make the playoffs. But
because they're tied for wild card.
For the wild card, yeah.
And 1 game behind Boston, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Stamps rebounded.
Finally, nicely.
Yeah. NFL was good.
Did Bo play?
Bo did play.
He did play? Okay.
Yeah. NFL was good. My picks for the Super Bowl didn't exactly get off to a good start. Buffalo's 0-1 and
Cowboys are 0-1.
Cowboys are 0-1. So,
I don't hate that.
I'm not off to a great start, but it's great to have almost all the sports back up and running. Hockey's going to be starting here in
about a month,
and NHL, and we'll have our Q here in a couple weeks. So
our real Q hockey,
real Q hockey,
not this stuff. I guess
2-month long, stupid, ridiculous, dumb training camp.
We're now into the please don't get hurt part of the training camp. It's great to have a fall, and I say that because in Alberta it snows basically the day after Labor Day. You never green trees go from green to yellow to they're gone. I hadn't seen a red tree in my life until I moved here. But it's great to have sports back and blah, blah, blah. But the actual real question I've got to ask you, how was Avery's first day of school?
Good. It was a bit... Grade
1, right?
Grade 1, French immersion.
Yep.
So she went on Thursday, she went on Friday, and then she was back at it today. And, of course, starting tomorrow or Tuesday or yesterday, whenever this show gets released, kids are back wearing masks 100% of the time during school. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, it's only for 2 weeks, as they're saying right now. But so when we broke that news to her, she, she wasn't exactly happy
Thrilled.
with it. Had a bit of a breakdown. But, it's when you have dumbasses protesting outside hospitals, it was only a matter of time before this happened. But it is what it is. We're not going to get out of this until probably another 4 or 5 months, if you ask me. So I was hoping this would be a regular school year, but not off to a fantastic start. But
So does it stay the same for drop off then that you had last year, where you could only drop off in certain times or certain sections, or do you really?
So drop off is because she's in grade 1, she drop off is any time from, I think the bell rings at 7:55. You can start dropping them off at 7:25. But if you get dropped off before the bell, you have to go play on the playground.
Which right now isn't the worst.
Yeah, it's not. Last year, because she was in kindergarten, we can drop her off at 7:25, and they'd be allowed to go right into the school. It's the same thing with the kindergartens this year. If you can go right into the school, but anyone in grades 1 to 5, you have to go play on the playground until the bell rings. So we don't drop her off as early as we did last year. But
how was drop off day for you and Megan? Was it a little easier this year?
I had a bottle of champagne ready to go. It was. Honestly though, it was fine.
A little different than last year, eh?
Avery's got a friend from her class last year that's in her class again this year.
That always makes it easier.
On Friday, we met up with them in the morning, and they walked into school together. So that kind of made it a little easier. But she's good. I know it's going to work out, and I just want shit to get back to normal. Really, it feels like stuff's back to normal, but by next week we could be saying something else. I just don't want the season to be delayed or anything like that. I just want to get going.
No, I don't want the season to be delayed. Now that fall's getting back, we also have Masked Singer getting back next week.
That's right.
And our good buddy Clint, he did reach out to me and ask if we are going to watch Alter Ego and talk about Alter Ego, the show where it's CGI and it's regular people singing, but have you not seen the previews for it?
I have. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, we'll get back to that next week. It's regular people, and they go full CGI.
Okay.
And the panel, whoever it is, I can't remember, they just see like the CGI, like, Avatar basically.
Yeah.
It's basically avatars. It's basically avatars of whoever you want to be. So you and I could be in it as an avatar of something and sing, which wouldn't. I mean, he'd probably win, but and you'll have to catch a preview of it because Clint was wondering if I was like, no, we're Masked Singer people. We're not going to get into all these. It kind of feels like a Masked Singer type show, but all right, well, so much for that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I never heard about it.
Oh, really? All right. Well, we'll get into it maybe and see what you think of it for next week's show.
Sounds good.
I know that there's a show next Thursday that will crush your soul.
So the series finale of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is on
was
Thursday.
that 8 years?
8 seasons, yeah. And I mean, if you know me, like I've literally watched all 7 seasons about 100 times. So I'm like a giant Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan. So yeah, this Thursday is going to be pretty tough on me. I will, it's I don't know what to expect, but it is a 1 hour show. So I'm sure there'll be some sad times. I'm sure there'll be some happy times. So I'll sure have a smile. Speaking of smile,
yep.
I have.
Oh, did you come prepared again?
I have a thing for you here, Adam.
Look at this guy.
That's for you.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And this one's for me.
This is Exhibit A. While you should be watching on YouTube, not just listening. We do have
Smile cookies that you can purchase at Tim Hortons all this week for $1. And they're absolutely delicious.
Thanks, buddy. I didn't see that coming, and now we're going to eat while we do this show. But as always, you can follow us on Twitter at Moncton Wildcast, Instagram Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube to see crazy things like having cookies while we record the show.
That's right.
As a little surprise there. So no quick questions, so let's just get into a very quick news and notes from around the league.
News and notes from around the queue.
As per our good buddy Jamie Tozer, who took it from Kevin Dubé of the Journal in Quebec, the decision to host the 2022 Memorial Cup has once again been postponed for another week. So we'd really like to talk about it, but we still have no idea who it'll be. So hopefully next week we'll know between Quebec, St. John. I don't honestly know the reason for the holdup, like other than being scared of whatever variants are coming and not knowing. I don't know what else the reason it could be.
Well, we know.
Do we?
I disclosed
These are
this.
pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Oh.
So as I mentioned to yourself, Adam, and to Dobson earlier, the reason why the Memorial Cup is delayed, it's clearly because the CHL is just waiting for Trevor Georgie's wire transfer to go through. He's got to pay the league from his offshore bank accounts.
If you know, you know, I guess, eh? Insider information. How's your cookie?
Very good. $1 at Jim's all week until Friday.
Well, there's no reason not to there as well. From the game last Sunday, Barbashev, Langlois both could be suspended for 2 games for staged fights. We'll get into it here in just a few minutes. One of those fights were more staged than the other one. So let's get into the Wildcast training camp report.
Wildcast training camp report.
Yeah, like I mentioned, the Wildcats played a afternoon heated affair with the Sea Dogs, losing 6-2. But again, preseason games don't count. There's a reason for it. We're just wanting to get out of these games with no injuries. The officials looked to be in regular season form. We've kind of made a thing where we don't want to be too critical of the officials on here and be whining and all the time. And they have a very difficult job. But sweet God, I've never seen so many scrums pulling out one Wildcat. There was it was ridiculous. At one point I yelled at one of them, how many times are you going to let their guys poke at Filion? Every time he tried to cover the puck, it was just picking at him. St. John, if preseason hockey's going to be anything moving forward, they're going to be a nasty team to play against.
Welcome to the Gordy Dwyer.
Yeah,
era.
they're going to be a nasty team to play against. They don't take. There's no flybys. They're taking every chance they can to make hits, which is the way you're supposed to play. And I don't want to say it caught Moncton off guard. You could tell this team hadn't played hockey in 2 weeks. But some positives from the game. Filion made his preseason debut, so it was good to finally see him. I know that we have the 3 goaltenders, so you kind of wondered when he would get into action. So it was good to see him make his debut as well. It was good to see ring the tie bell, Jonas Tybel make his debut. Struggled in the faceoff dot early, ended up going, I think, 7 for 10 in there. 7 for 10, so he kind of picked it up. There was, smooth skating. What did I say to you yesterday? Smooth skating. When he had the puck in space, he made good plays with it. Good defensively. He was on the PK a couple times. Negatives from the game, way too many turnovers for this club. Again, it's preseason, but it led. There was one Tybel had. He just tried to go back to his defenseman, and right on the tape of a St. John player, which led into the zone, which eventually it's either going to be a goal or a penalty. It ended up being a penalty. And again, this team, you give St. John 7 opportunities. Eventually, they're going to put the puck in the net. They did. And yeah, too many penalties. They were behind all game and just couldn't get it going.
You know what was worse than that game?
What's that?
The return for the 2nd overall pick. Every week, baby.
Every week. Is it going to be a full season thing or just a preseason thing?
Until he gets his ass fired.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one. Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, and I'm the one talking about it because I was there. Did you watch it on YouTube or?
I'm not touching that.
No. You're not watching that kind of preseason?
No.
Once you see the score, you're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Langlois did get in a fight with Brandon Milson. It was a staged fight. It wasn't. Both players, like I tweeted out, were going back to the bench arguing over fantasy football and ended up dropping the gloves. Hamel got a 3rd man in because basically the officials hadn't got there enough to break it up. And then, speaking of being frustrated, you could see Barb's being frustrated all night. He finally dropped the gloves in what was a stage fight. This one was right off the draw, right after a goal. And, held his own in the fight. It was against, the 2 players that fought for St. John are not going to be on this team, and Brandon Milson and Boness, I wouldn't believe, but it was a spirited tilt. But yeah, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but hey,
it's early. These games don't count.
They don't.
It's still evaluation. Remember, you need a month and a half to evaluate your players for this training camp.
Yeah. And this isn't just a shot at Moncton. This is the Q.
This is a Q thing
in general. Yeah.
I
was a little shocked that Tybalt did play though.
Wow.
Arriving on Saturday or Friday.
Friday night, practice Saturday.
Playing Sunday. I thought they'd.
When was it? Thursday, Friday he arrived.
Friday night.
No, Thursday, right? Because they played Friday. The game was canceled.
Yeah,
Friday.
they were supposed to play.
Yeah, he came Thursday.
Saturday. Friday, yeah.
And
Thursday. So yeah.
Yeah, so his first practice was Saturday, and they played some. Well, it's good. I mean, he shows he wants to get some ice time and get him on the ice and get him accustomed to smaller ice service, obviously.
And he said that in his post-game interview. It's a smaller, which is you got to think faster, and you could kind of see that early on as he was, it's a big adjustment. Your first game coming from those guys are coming at you a lot faster. So
100%, and it's I'm not concerned. He's clearly got some skill. It's a player that they, identified from, it's not a very, I mean, obviously Switzerland is, has its, they can produce some really good hockey players, but, it just wasn't one of those, for having the 13th overall pick, it wasn't, a wow pick. So clearly they did their homework to make sure that he would fit into the Wildcats way, as we want to put it.
Yep.
But no, he seems to be, based on everything I've seen and heard, he's going to be a solid hero.
Yep. Yeah. Once he gets better and gets acclimated to this game, and they had him on the fourth line, sheltering him in minutes, playing limited. I will say though, the conversation we had about the 320-year-olds and who you were gonna take between Stewart and Bernier. Bernier's not making this easy. He had a goal. I mean, Stewart had an assist last night, or went Sunday night. Depends when you listen to this, but I wouldn't want to make that choice. I mean, you got two of them locked up. It's a battle between those two, and we both kind of put our thoughts into Jake for the leadership and whatnot. But man, Bernier's not making it easy, which is what you want. You want
competition.
Yeah.
I just kind of think the only thing that's going to keep him on this team is if, Daou signs an AHL contract and plays for Belleville.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's very possible. I'm not a Senators fan. I don't exactly know what their depth chart is like. But, I'm sure we'll talk to Jonathan Waugh later in this episode, and he'll talk about how he expected, Patrice Bergeron to come back to Bathurst 1 year, and all of a sudden he gets signed and kept with Boston. So
now they have, and they looking at their roster, it's the exact same.
Yeah, they got Bennett MacArthur and Jackson Bellamy that are at NHL camps, so they could easily sign and sign and stay too. So to carry 4 20-year-olds right now is not necessarily a bad thing, because it would avoid a team from having to go out and find one. Mm-hmm. Right, in the event something like that happens, so it's smart, and if he sticks, he sticks. If he doesn't, I'm not sure there's a spot for him in the league. A lot of their teams probably have their 20-year-old situation figured out. So I could, he's probably bound for the junior A leagues in Quebec again, if you ask me.
Yeah. And, I mean, Bernier went 3 for 4 on the faceoff. Jake went 17 for 24. So, and that's exactly what he's brought on to do he was the number 1 center yesterday. So, like you said, if Daou surprises and ends up signing, then, we're going to be okay with Jake and Bernier and Grossier as our 320s. And if not, then we're still going to be okay with Daou, one of those two, and Grossier as a 20. So it's not going to be easy. So we've got actual game against the team we haven't actually seen coming to Moncton this Saturday at the Propane Plex, as we get to see the Mooseheads.
The Propane Plex.
Yeah. We get to see the Mooseheads finally in town. I don't know if we'll see LaRue. He could be in Nashville's camp. Same with Denoyer. I don't think.
Isn't Denoyer, didn't he have surgery?
Is he actually injured?
I think he had a shoulder surgery. So he's out for I don't know if he'll be ready for the start of camp or not, but let's see. I don't know. I think he had surgery. I don't know.
I
maybe
really follow them, but
yeah.
I mean, we've got the Mooseheads in town, so you finally get to see a different team. Again, it's preseason. So don't go there with high expectations. Just go there to see how the team comes together. See how, see if they finally figured this power play thing out. It's been a bit of a struggle. They went 0 for 4 in the last game. I got to think that maybe Couture plays that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah. I was surprised that Filion went the distance on Sunday. I thought they were still going to split him, but he needed to go.
He needed it. Yeah.
He needed it.
I don't think Gio's with the team anymore.
Really?
I don't think so. I think the only reason I think it was because Filion had a bit of an injury.
Oh, okay.
And so they just kept him around for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you go to practice, you need 2 goalies. So
Yeah.
you let Filion heal his injury and Gio kind of plays. But I'm pretty sure he's back with Grand Falls. I could be wrong. But yeah, who'd they keep? They had Luke McPhee and Lounsbury stayed around too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think Lounsbury is back with the Flyers, so he's good. McPhee.
And we might see one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
we might see Lounsbury this week if both Barbashev and Langwall.
That is
and
true.
Getting suspended.
Yeah. Because who didn't play this weekend? Casey didn't play.
Casey didn't play.
Blagden's injured.
Blagden's injured. DeGrossier didn't play. Dow didn't play.
Right. So unless Casey is hurt.
Yep.
Which I don't know if he is or not, but he'd be back. He'll play. But yeah, they could be short.
Yep.
They could very well be short. We'll see. Halifax will be short as well.
Yep.
Biasca and Swan are out indefinitely with some injuries, so that's a tough break. But like I said, that's the advantage of having a month and a half long training camp is that if you do get injured, you have some time to recuperate before the actual season starts.
So all the rosters are ready to go on opening night.
Yeah.
Provided you don't have players going to play in the NHL. Or the
1
American
month.
Hockey
You have you literally have your season, your team picked 1 month before the regular season starts. There's got to be a way around this. I'm between that and the whole trade for the second overall pick. I think I'll probably bring up every single episode.
Yeah, we should. Why don't we just get the commissioner on? He's been on
should.
before, and you can just flat out ask him.
We should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting a little sick and tired of it, but whatever. Yeah. So I'll be at the. I might actually go to this game on Saturday night.
You gonna go to this one?
I think so.
Finally see a team that's not St. John or Bathurst.
Yeah. Because I know they sell beer there, which I don't know.
They sell beer at the Uniplex.
Were they
too.
selling
Yeah.
beer there? Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah, $5 draft.
Oh, jeez.
But it was either Coors Light or Molson Canadian. But they had Kavik.
Okay.
So I had a couple of raspberry sours.
You like that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
You like sour beer?
Well, I don't usually, but I had one in on the island there when we went away. And then I had at the Holy Whale, I had the Skittles sour, which basically just tasted like crushing up all the kinds of Skittles, putting them in a beer. Yeah, it was pretty good. So yeah, they had beer at the Uniplex. I guess I should have told you that so you could.
Well, I would have won if I would have known that.
Yeah, they do have beer at the Propane Plex, so that's always a bonus. So the game is for this Saturday at 7. So it's the cheapest way you're going to see this team all season. So, and it's basically the roster for the season for probably both teams. All right, so let's just get to a view from the other bench. We got a special guest here.
View from the other bench.
All right, we're back at it for another preseason preview of the Maritimes division. This week, it's a preview of the team. Again, we've seen too many times this past season the Agony Bathurst Titans, who went 21-10, 1-1 for 40 points, got through the provincial tournament last season, ultimately losing to the Islanders in round 2. We are pleased to have on the line with us, friend of the show, from Sir Lorette Jr., Jonathan Raw.
Not bad.
Jonathan Roy, Johnny Rocket, how are you?
I'm pretty good about you guys.
Like I said, it's year 5. I'm getting better at your name there.
Can we? Let's try this together, okay?
Yeah.
Sur la route du junior. Now put it all together.
La Caparapra.
We are all learning. How's life up in Bathurst, bud?
Well, it's going pretty well. Obviously, we're pretty pumped for the start of the season, which seems like 2 2 years from now. Yeah, so like everybody else that was on your show before, I mean, everybody's pumped for, let's put that in quotation, like a normal season.
Yeah.
If October 1st can come, we'll be happy.
Before we get into this year, let's go back to last year. This team took major strides after being in the bottom for a few years, behind a great year from Ben MacArthur and Jan Bednar in goal. Like I said, surviving the New Brunswick tournament, going on to round 2. Just was it a case of they just ran out of gas taking on the Islanders who were rested, or were the Islanders just that much better than the Titan last year?
Well, obviously the Titans were a good team last year, not a great team or anything. But the Islanders, I mean, I don't know if when you see a team like once every like 4 months, like last year, it's kind of hard to plan like how to work against them. I mean, obviously when we played, it's funny you said the provincial tournament is the first time I actually hear that term, but it's exactly what it was. But we played many times against Saint John and Moncton, so we kind of knew like the pairing against each line and what to expect. But when we come up against Charlottetown, we actually played once, like early in the year, I think, against Charlottetown, and that was it. So, and yeah, I mean, you can't deny that Charlottetown has had a heck of a team. I can't say we ran out of gas. They were just a better team, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, for us, the main goal was to have some playoff experience, which we didn't have the past 2 years before that. So getting 8 game, I think, in the provincial tournament plus another 3 against Charlottetown, I mean, that's only bonus. And hopefully that this year, when we reach the playoffs, it will just be better, because I mean, it was good, but I would have wished to actually win 1 game against Charlottetown, but it was not the case. But they had a really good team, so it's not like we lost against a really bad team. So I can't be really sad about that, but I'm pretty sure that if we actually like played more than once before that series, we probably would have won like maybe 1, God knows, maybe 2. But it's kind of hard just to get in the mix and try to figure out like, oh, geez, there's Cormier there. Oh, there's Lawan. Oh, there's Trudeau. There's Pandowski. There's good guys everywhere. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's much easier to plan when you've actually seen a team more than once every 4 months. And, you're right. Like we were talking to Gareth, and it was just like, I had to ask him, like, did you get used to seeing what lines, what names, how players were skating on the 2 opposing teams? Because you just kept seeing the same 2 teams, and it's going to be so much better this year. And I got to believe, too, for both, especially for the New Brunswick, like for Bathurst, going to play in Shawinigan with an empty arena, that's tough. It's round 2. It's supposedly playoffs, but when you're playing in the provincial tourney, and that's a credit to Jamie Tozer calling it that. When you're the gold medalist in the provincial tournament coming out of there, you're playing in front of fans. You can get jacked up for these playoff games, even though it was very weird. And then going to Shawinigan, I mean, did you have a chance to talk to a lot of guys on what that experience was like playing in front of empty arenas in what's supposed to be a playoff tournament? Or playoff round,
I spoke to a few guys on the team, and they said, I mean, obviously, it all comes down to the ice. It's pretty clear. I mean, it's hockey, but when you go from, I mean, we had like 1,300 person at the Key Serving last year. So, and during the provincial tournament, I mean, people were like pretty pumped up when the Titan actually won some pretty tight games. So you go from that to crickets pretty much. So yeah, I mean, obviously you're pumped up because you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of hard. I mean, I know that even if they had like 1,000 person in Shawinigan, it's still more than likely not a fan of either Charlottetown or the Titan, but there would have still been like some ambiance, some little clapping and some little noise. But yeah, I mean, it was a really, really, really odd year last year, and praise the Lord, you won't have to go through that ever again.
Yeah. And
I'm sure that the players and the coaching staff and all the teams are wishing the same thing, I'm sure.
Pretty busy summer in Bathurst. 3 guys drafted in the NHL, and of course, Hendrix Lapierre coming over from I'm going to say Gatineau, but I know that's wrong. He's from Gatineau.
Chicoutimi.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So you're much better at this than I am. So I wasn't prepared. So if you, my bad if I happen to make some boo-boos
You were born prepared.
I was. That's right. I was dropped in my head a couple times, so it's affecting my brain. No, I know you've kind of adopted the Seattle Kraken as your favorite NHL team. You nice shirt you were wearing last week on your show, by the way.
Thank you.
What's going on with the with Teton this year? What can we expect from them?
Well, obviously the expectations are really high. When your GM and your coach are going out in the newspaper saying that when the guy got up at camp, they said that they were speaking about the Merle Cup championship. I mean, no pressure, but obviously there's some pressure on that team because they will do everything that they can to bring another 1 or 2 cups back to batters. So, Couturier made some move during the summer, but, well, you're probably going to ask me that after, but in my opinion, they are not a contender team as of yet. But obviously, maybe after a month or 2 of hockey, we could actually see like, okay, yeah, we're definitely missing X, we're definitely missing Y. But as of now, we're expecting like a pretty awesome season. Many goals because, we have 5 NHL drafted player plus 5 guys that got invited to training camps. Hopefully that all the 10 guys will come back. That would suck, but it will be good for either one of them that would stay. But for us, it would definitely suck because only one guy could actually crumble like the whole castle. Like I remember when Patrice Bergeron was stuck in Boston. I mean, it was one of the years that the Titans were supposed to go all in, but got one guy screw everything up. So hopefully it won't happen this year. But as of now, we're going to be one of the top teams in the Maritime and hopefully one of the top teams in the league. And hopefully that we're going to raise another cup. But I won't speak too loud for now because I have still some doubts, but we'll see.
Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. I'm never having a pumpkin spice ice cap again. So yeah, we asked the same question to Jamie last week. If it gets to the point where, let's say Bathurst doesn't get off to a good start, do you see kind of like a change of course? Maybe trading away some assets and maybe building for a different year.
Well, I think the Titans are built to go for 2 years. So my train of thought is if at Christmas we're like, let's say we're first in the league. I'm just projecting. We're first in the league. Definitely, I can see Couturier like going all in for this year and sacrificing some stuff that could have been good for us next year. But for example, if we're mid-rank at Christmas and we're like 3rd or 4th in the Maritime Division, he could actually grab a few guys that will help us this year and next year because, next year, Hawkins will be back, Kidney will be back, Melanson will be back. We're going to lose a few good guys, but if you go with Allison as a 20-year-old, you lose MacArthur, he's 20-year-old. We can still have a pretty darn decent team, but you're going to lose Bednar. You're going to lose Zapia. You're going to lose MacArthur. You're going to lose Bellamy. That's a lot of guys that are going to be gone. So I hope it goes all in this year, but there's always a plan B that if he sees that, a few guys didn't develop that as they were supposed to be developing, but maybe he flips X guy to somewhere else to get a few good assets that are playing right now in the queue, and next year we're doing another run at it. I don't know. We'll see, but as of now, the way that Sly and Marius Durocher spoke in the medias, it's this year. They're talking about Memorial Cup. Obviously, it's in the queue, so they kind of have 2 chances. But anyway, but my opinion is Couturier has one train of thought and is going all in. So we'll believe it. In Sly, we believe. So.
I guess looking at this roster, we had this situation last year. We had 4 20s You guys have 420s now: Bennett MacArthur, Liam Kidney, Logan Chisholm, and Jackson Bellamy. What are your thoughts? Are they going to carry 4 in case of an injury, or do you see one of them? Because I know the Titan announced their roster, and all 4 players are on there. So is this a scenario where they keep all 4 in case, or what are your feelings on that?
Well, I honestly think the only reason that there's 4 right now is because 2 of the 20-year-olds are gone to a training camp, like MacArthur and Bellamy. So if by any chance one of them is sticking around in the AHL or the NHL, well, they will have a pretty decent backup in Liam Kidney. But if everybody is coming back, I can't see why they would stick around with 4 20-year-olds, because you can't bench Bennett MacArthur. You can't bench Jackson Bellamy, and you can't bench you can't bench your captain. Some team in Moncton did that last year, but you can't bench Logan Chisholm, which he's your captain in this year. So Kidney would just be there in case. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to keep a guy for 68 games and nobody got injured. So basically you don't play. Right. Doesn't make any sense. But if MacArthur stays in the AHL, well, we have our third 20-year-old. And like I said, we paid a 5th round for him, which is not a really high price, but he's a pretty decent 20-year-old. I mean, there's some teams that are stuck with pretty weird kind of 20-year-olds. So at least we have a backup in him. But my honest opinion is MacArthur, Bellamy, and Chisholm will be our trio of 20-year-old, and Kidney will be sacrificed in a few weeks, I assume.
I was a bit surprised when they announced Chisholm as the captain. It's but honestly, I mean, I know he's the original guy, right? He was the one that was around for the Memorial Cup, but I think there's obviously in a go for it year, there's some better 20-year-olds that could be obvious upgrades on Chisholm. I think we've got one here in Moncton that you guys might like up in Bathurst for the season. Yep. But we're not going to get into any trade speculation here. But what was the mindset, do you think, behind making him Logan Chisholm the captain? Just the fact that he's the original guy from the Memorial Cup year.
Well, first of all, I would have to say I was pissed when they named him captain. Not because of the guy, because I don't like the tradition of always having a 20-year-old as a captain. You can't build any tradition. You can't build any core. It's always a new captain. I mean, I think it's the 4th year in a row that the Titans have a 20-year-old as a captain. Mm-hmm. But obviously I think Logan was by default the captain. He's it's his 5th year with the Titans. He's the only player left out of the Memorial Cup run. He's an awesome teammate. I hear many, many, many guys saying that he's a perfect teammate. But my only issue was they got Liam Kidney for a 5th round. I would have assumed that they would give him at least a try at really getting a spot on the team. But on the first day of the training camp at 1:00, they named Logan Chisholm as a captain of the Titans for this season. So obviously they never even really got him a nice look, a nice try to be on the actual team. So that's why I was kind of pissed off. There was no rush at naming Logan Chisholm a captain. I mean, there's still 3 weeks before the season starts. So They could have named him a week before the season started, the captain. So I don't know why it was so rushed. But he looks like a really nice guy. The players look like they really, really love him. So, I mean, that's kind of a nice choice if you look at that. But again, next year, another new captain. I just don't like every single year having to name a new captain. I don't know. I just don't like that. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I just don't like that. I mean, there's some really awesome talents, 17-year-old and 18-year-old playing right now that could have been awesome as a captain for this year and next year. For example, Jacob Melançon. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if he's a super good team player, but the players sure seem to like him on the ice. But anyway, Logan Chisholm is the choice. We can't argue that. So hopefully that he will step up and be a nice captain like the Dobson and the Viel and everybody else that went to Bathurst were.
I guess in the cage there, a successful team starts in the back end, and Jan Bednar struggled a bit early on, as you've made known. He was a Detroit draft pick, Chad Arsenault. He was a story last year early on. This is Bednar's net, I would believe. He's going to get majority of the starts in a go for a year. What is the mindset of your GM Couturier there? Does he want to upgrade goaltender, or is he happy going with these two from start to finish and believes in both goaltenders?
Well, obviously, yeah, it's Bednar's net. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But having Arsenault, I mean, even in preseason, he played like really, really well. I'm honestly feeling happy with that. I mean, maybe Couturier at Christmas would love maybe to add a veteran, like maybe a 19-year-old in net that actually has like more experience than Arsenault has. I mean, he only had like a couple of like 20-ish game last season,
right?
But every time he goes in net, man, he's amazing. I mean, even against Charlottetown yesterday, he made another heck of a save. He's just like, he's an underdog. I think he's always been an underdog from the start of his life, and he's keeping his head up. I mean, obviously he's a small goalie, but he's doing the job. So I honestly don't scared at all to go all in with him and Bednar as the duo. Like I said to Marky the other day, do you feel more confident with Bednar and Arsenault rather than Fitzpatrick and Murdaca when we went all in? I mean, Murdaca was a nice guy, but thank God that Fitzpatrick was not injured.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So even if Bednar get injured, or I know he's going to leave for the World Juniors at Christmas, but Arsenal will take his place, and I'm not even scared that he will not do the job. So, yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right.
Time to put your GM hat on there, Jonathan.
Oh, cheaper.
Yes.
So,
all in year, I guess who would you like to see on the Teton after Christmas? Let's be realistic here, okay? We have to look at what you have for assets on the team and draft picks, but who could you realistically see joining the team after Christmas via trade?
There's two. Honestly, before the season starts, in my book, there's two obvious needs that the team need to address. The least important one would be to add like veteran guys at the bottom of the line. For example, this year we're going to start with a fourth line, 100% rookies. I don't like that. We need at least one veteran between those guys to just lead them the right way. And especially if you go all in, you make a long run in the playoffs. We know that your bottom guys are as more important sometimes that the lead-up guy. Yeah, they score. The first two lines score goals, but the bottom line are killing the PKs, are doing the dirty work. And I don't say that rookies can't do that, but I would have way more confidence in like an 18 or a 19-year-old coming from a team that has like 2-3 year experience that don't expect to play big minutes, but knows his job, knows that he will maybe play 2-3 shift a period, but when he's on the ice, he's doing the job and he's a good. But my main issue is at defense. We need to add a QB, a quarterback, an offensive defenseman. And my dream, and honestly, it's more realistic than anything, is to add Miguel Tourigny from Blainville at Christmas. He will 100% be available. Yes, he will cost something, obviously, but the thing is, you can keep him this year and next year as a 20-year-old, because I don't think that he will sign as a 20-year-old in the AHL or anything. But the big dream will be to add like a Lucas Kern or something like that, but there's no chance in the world that will happen. So the next big thing after Lucas Kern would be Miguel Tourigny from Blainville, and I sure hope that Sylvain Couturier have that on his wish list for Santa, because I would love to see him in a Titan uniform.
Well, you know what? Usually we have Santa Claus on our show.
Exactly.
Before Christmas, so we'll throw that in the sack and see what we can get.
Yeah, he hasn't been too kind to us the past couple of years, but we'll see if maybe he can help you out. Obviously your show's been kind of doing what we're doing, previewing the divisions as we get going. You're much more plugged into the Quebec side of things. So, just quickly give us some teams and that not only could surprise, but some teams that maybe have fallen off a bit going into this season as we get ready to see some Quebec teams finally.
Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, I saw we're playing against Rimouski in a preseason in 2 games. I was like, what? A Quebec team? What is that?
Je me souviens.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's over, over a year that we haven't seen anything from Quebec. It's kind of funny to see that on the schedule now. Obviously Quebec is probably the top gun in Quebec. There's no doubt about that. And they made a lot of acquisition during the summer. And I'm sure that Patrick Roy is not done yet.
Yeah.
But you have also Shawinigan, which last year kind of disappointed-ish. They changed coach. Not going to say anything bad against Daniel Renault, but he just seemed to go where there's a good team. So we'll see. But they have a lot of talent at offense. They have a pretty good defense. So Shawinigan would be a team to look at. Obviously, Gatineau. They're not in an all-in situation, but man, they have a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And she wouldn't be surprised that they would shock a lot of teams. If you look in the West Division, they're the team to beat in that division. The other 3 teams they don't have a shot at Gatineau. And if you look at the other teams, other than that, I mean, yeah, there's some okay teams. Like Drummondville, they could be all right. Chicoutimi is in a rebuild. Bécomo is 1 year-ish into the rebuild. Victoriaville is in a rebuild. Val-d'Or is in a rebuild. There's a lot of rebuilding team in Quebec. So, maybe not for once, but this year, definitely the highlight will be Quebec and our 3 top teams in the Maritime. Bathurst, Saint John, and Charlottetown. So there's not a lot to look forward in Quebec, to be honest with you, other than Quebec and Shawinigan is pretty all right. And some teams are disgusting to look at. I will always remember, I think it's last year, Jeremy said he looked at Rimouski depth chart and was like, I don't even know one name.
Yeah.
I don't know if you look at Rimouski's depth chart this year, but it hasn't changed. I mean, other than Jacob Butuka, there's nothing there.
Yeah, right. And it's so funny because it's the same thing. It's the same thing for me with Bécomo as well. Like I look at Bécomo's roster and I'm like, who the hell is this? And it's like,
it's crazy.
It's I don't have it in front of me right now. Like I know you've got it right there, Adam. But
you want Bécomo?
Bécomo, yeah. Just flip their roster. I mean, let me turn this around here. Let me see. Okay, I know Vincent Collard because he was a top pick in the draft.
Xavier 410.
I don't.
Isn't that? But he got traded there from Halifax, didn't he?
No. That's Para.
Oh, Para.
Baril, just because he was a draft pick. I'm literally going down this list. I don't recognize. Okay, defenseman.
Nope.
Belly Pelche. I know that name. And then the goaltenders, Olivier Adam.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Literally, I know 3 players on their entire roster. That's a shit show waiting to happen, man. Like that's not good.
Yeah.
Justin Sullivan, I guess I could say I know his name a little bit, but that's bad. Like when you follow the league, like we do, and I only know 3 names. Come on, like I know more names on friggin' Val-d'Or, right? It's and you thought Val-d'Or was going to be falling off the face of the earth this year. Like look out for Bécomo. There's not going to be much rowing going around in the crowd there. When they take their boats and they do the row.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to be doing a lot of rows. What's going to be empty is the rows. I can tell you that.
Well, it's funny that you said Val-d'Or because I'm pretty sure if you look at the roster right now and you look at the roster after Christmas, it will be totally different.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that Val-d'Or will sell off at Christmas like crazy, and you will basically have the same kind of lineup as you see as Bécomo have now, but in Val-d'Or after Christmas.
Not very good. Not very good.
Not at all.
Well, sir, we appreciate you joining us on. Hopefully, you'll get down to the rink one night and maybe get into the studio. We'll have you guys on.
I'll be at least once this year at the Avenir Center, and hopefully, I don't know if there's probably nothing like bubbles in Moncton. It's wide open, right?
Yep.
Haven't heard anything.
Haven't
haven't heard anything about seating or what. But
as far as we know, it's completely open. So, but
hopefully we can sit close to each other and listen to a nice hockey game together without a mask.
That's right. Maybe you can tell us your vasectomy story in English.
Sure, I can try.
Yeah, because
we can do a TikTok together, maybe.
Yes, why not?
I see that you're on the TikTok now. Yeah, a TikTok crossover. Get you in the studio. You and Marky do a show crossover, something like that. Man, it's always good to talk to you. We appreciate you taking the time.
Well, have a nice one, guys. And like I said, I promise I'll be in Moncton once, and I'll let you know for sure.
All right, man.
Beautiful.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Okay. See ya.
Always good to talk to Johnny Rocket.
Oh yeah. I mentioned the vasectomy story, so it's on his podcast TikTok account. It's kind of on a separate account that he runs. I can't even I don't know what it means, but
like his personal,
I think so.
Podcast. One?
Yeah,
he's got like 8 podcasts going.
He does.
He's got the hockey. He's got his own. He's got a pizza review one.
Yeah.
A kid one that seems like
he's very active.
He's a podcast guy.
Yeah. It's such a funny story. I mean, if you understand French and you want to listen to a story about his vasectomy, send me a message and I'll send you the link to it because, like I said, super super funny.
What do you think his GM hat adding a player like that for Bathurst?
It's bold.
Yeah,
it would definitely help, and I think they need more up front. Let's be honest there.
Yeah.
They basically need like at least 2 guys on the 4th line and 1 for the 3rd line. They got some moves to make.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know Roger Shannon's got some connections, right? So when Roger Shannon was around here, I wasn't a big fan of his, moves that he made, but I also think the reason behind some of those moves was because he was a whipping boy for a certain person.
Mm-hmm.
So he has tons of connections. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's poaching some players from the OHL or the WHL, as free agents, as these 2 leagues get up and running and some 18 or 19-year-olds get released. I wouldn't be surprised if Roger Shannon's poaching them to Bathurst because, like I said, free agents are free. Yeah. And when I looked at what they have in the cupboards right now, they're not exactly stacked with picks. So they're gonna need to figure out a way to solve that.
I was trying to find their lineup from yesterday. Yeah, McLean, Ryan, Henbury. Yeah, there's a lot of rookies in that bottom 6. So. It'll be interesting to see how they do adding, and I asked him goaltending wise. It's obviously Bednar's job, and he took some heat last year, and it was his first season in North America. Mm-hmm. He had to get used to it. You could see him getting better as time went on. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at the deadline, whether they add going all in or they add going into maybe next year. Because they should have Hendrix Lapierre next year as well. So we shall see, right? Because he's a 19-year-old this year, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they'd have him next year. No, this will be his last kick.
You think so?
Oh yeah. He's 19. He's signed by Washington.
Well, I think that's already, a player. So. I think that's a player he meant by this could crumble. If they lose him this year, to the Capitals training camp, right?
Okay, yeah.
If he kind of sticks, which I don't follow the Capitals, so I don't know what they have in their farm system, but that'll do it for us. That's it for another week. Again, thanks to the friend of the show, Johnny Rocket, for joining us to give us a preview of the Titan in this upcoming season. We'll be back next week with the top team from last year's division, the Charlottetown Islanders. I'm not sure who we'll get this next week.
Protect the bridge.
And don't forget, we just got the one game at the Propane Plex this Saturday at 7 p.m. as the Mooseheads are finally in town. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.